Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm 26 years old and I've been coming to CrossFit Grandview since September 22nd, so a little over 6 months, 7 months.
So what were you doing before you started CrossFit?
So before I started CrossFit, I was doing bodybuilding. I did bikini competitions, competition. That was a couple years ago, probably like 3 or 4 years ago now. And I stopped competing, so I kind of fell out of love with the whole stage presence and how it focuses just on aesthetics and nothing about like your achievements or your goals. And started just kind of doing more weightlifting on my own. Andrew and I bought a bunch of rogue equipment and decked out our garage with stuff. But then we just felt like we were lacking motivation and wanted something more organized to push us. And our friend Katie, hi Katie, 5:30 a.m. class, was doing CrossFit. We like started seeing like her upper body grow, and then she was like, oh, I deadlifted this today, and like, oh my gosh, I learned how to do this. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. So she finally convinced us to come, and we were never looking back.
Tell us how did she rope you into it?
Well, I think she had been going for maybe 6 months when we started thinking about joining, but she kind of started roping us in, I guess the way most people find out, where once you join, you don't stop talking about it. So she was always telling us about it and just kept talking about how supportive the community was, and which is something I had heard through the grapevine about CrossFit, but I just didn't really know a whole lot about it. And I think coming from a bodybuilding background, you know, there's always this like bodybuilders versus CrossFitters kind of going head to head and don't like each other. So I think this part of me was always like, oh, CrossFit. But the more she talked about it, the more my opinion clearly changed. And I can't remember if she sent me like the link to CrossFit Grandview or just was talking about it in general, but I started checking out the locations, and I work till 6:30 or so, and I get home at 7, and I saw that you guys had a 7:30 class. So that was kind of the deciding factor.
Tell me how goals have helped you in here.
Goals have helped me reprogram my mindset, I would say, because coming again from bodybuilding, where it was more about like getting a certain physique, and that's a very difficult thing to measure. And I'm a very organized, kind of like anal chart related numerical person, and I like structure. So for me to be able to see a goal that's more numerical, like, oh, I'd like to be able to squat 200 or 250, and then slowly like build up to that, and there's like a linear progression, and everything I do here kind of adds up to that gracefully and strategically, is really motivating for me. And it's a lot easier to feel good about your progress week by week when you actually see those numbers, and it's not so much like, what do I look like? Oh, what do I look like compared to this person and compared to that person? And it's hard to kind of gauge your progress that way, and it's much more of like a negative perspective of progress. So yeah, goals in terms of reaching new PRs and just being able to learn something new almost every week has been exponentially more motivating for me to just push myself that much harder when I actually really see things on paper getting different.
Whether they just started CrossFit, whether they're thinking about CrossFit. So if you have something for them, you know.
Just do it. I know that's what everybody says, but the one thing I think that held me back from trying this sooner was just being intimidated. But the second I stepped in here and someone smiled at me and said hi to me, and someone said, oh, are you new? And everyone's just so supportive and encouraging, all of that intimidation completely disappears. And it's inspiring as hell getting to see other people in the class and like what they're doing, and they get better and faster and stronger every week, and then you're like, oh my god, that's me now. And but yeah, honestly, the biggest piece of advice I can offer is just to do it. Just give it a try. It's literally $10 to just learn the movements and then decide from there, and just get to witness the cool stuff you get to learn how to do. And anyone can do it. And I think that's also one of my favorite things about CrossFit, that everything is scalable to a degree. So even if you're overcoming an injury or you feel like you have more progress to be made before you're comfortable doing something, you can still find ways to do it, and people will work with you to get there, and that's the most encouraging thing possible.
All right, Rachel, happy with me. Thank you.